Mm. Okay. Hello, guys. So today, as usual, on Monday, we are watching our young stars, Pinkamena and Fatality, playing chess. My name is Fide Master Arman Givandyan, as usual. I'm your commentator for today. So, right now of time, let's jump into the action. So we have a Pinkamena game here. This was the Sicilian opening. I think it was safe to say that Black already solved problems. Maybe e5 was possible, but Bishop h6 is played instead. So talking about Black's position, Black has the open b file. It's maybe an advantage, but after the e5 move, there is also the weak c6 pawn, which is also a factor. I would say that now the position is relatively equal. White has some counterplay attacking the e7 pawn. Black's position is relatively safe as well, so open d file under Black's control. Not for long, maybe. Knight h5 is played. A weird move. Yeah, I think it's a blunder. I don't see what was the idea, so the pawn is lost. No queen takes b2 move because of at least rook takes b2 and the d1 spot is defended. Knight f4 is another blunder, and look how fast Pinkamena just sees it. Inhuman reactions. And now white has knight and a pawn. Advantage. Must be comfortably enough for a win, so I think it's better for us to switch to the Fatality game, in which we got some action. Fatality has 1 minute because she took the berserk, and the position is well, I think it's like quite complicated, and what the advantages of the sides are. So Black has a bishop that is blocked pretty much by its own pawns. Also, White has some sort of an attack on the king side. White's king, on the other hand, is relatively safe, so not much to worry about. c5 is played. Black is looking for some counterplay, but I don't see it coming, to be honest. At least there are not too much weaknesses, so White will at least have to find some way to break through. Queen g5 is played. That's a nice move because it prevents White from playing f3. Now the e3 pawn would be attacked. f3 would really help White. So f3, g4. This was a nice idea. Now it's not the case. I think White has a very good plan of playing g3, then knight goes to g2 and then f4, and it just kills Black's position, destroys it. Black is trying some counterplay, but I just doubt the e3 move. Because now, after playing b4, Black will have at least some open files. Oh, now queens are exchanged. Exchanging queens is a huge mistake for sure. White should have played queen h2, because the queen on g4 was like trapped. And now there is no more attack. Black's pawn structure is nice. And also the bishop is not as useless as it was a couple moves ago because it defends the e6 pawn. I really like Black's position because Black have some like obvious plans. Play on the b file, so just take on b4 and play rook e to b8 and attack the b2 pawn. Also, knight can go to f5 now in some moves. So White rotate the king to c3. Oh no, it's not. King c3 was a nice move. For some reason, it's not played. King goes to f7, creating some like tactical weight in the position. So now the knight is attacked. What attack? It forces White to exchange, and now just look at the h4 knight. It's just absolutely useless and destroyed by white squared bishop. So Black essentially has an extra minor piece. Oh, but slips away and the blunders the rook. Such a disaster. This was such a good game, such a positional domination. And now it's all done. That's heartbreaking. At least we can play on time, because there's no additional time in this tournament. But I think 10 seconds, yeah. And also Black has some trouble as well. But let's just hope and pray. Black is defending quite nice. But yeah, White final checkmate. What a disaster. That was such a nice game. What a turnaround it was when the queens were exchanged and the bishop on e4 was just dominating the White's position. But it all gone wrong. So sad. Well, let's give Fatality another chance. One more berserk. This opponent is not as strong. His rating is quite low. I think I know this guy. The nickname looks familiar to me. Maybe I played a couple of games. I'm not sure. We have a Caro-Kann defense, one of quite popular variations of it. Not a huge expert as well, so I'll not maybe give you some like new theoretical ideas in this position. Let's just watch and learn from the young players. White has an extra pawn. Of course, it's not for long, but still, Black will have to waste some time to win it back. B4 looks kind of threatening. Also, there's always a knight a3, knight to b5 to d6 idea. And if White managed to do that, this will be huge. Knight a3 can be played. I think it's a nice move. b4 is a good move as well. Now maybe b5 is on the cards. I'm not sure. Maybe not now, but in some time maybe. a6 is played, so Black would have to play a6 anyway, so... Now White plays a4, and now b5 looks quite real, I would say. Also, the knight on g6 is quite bad. I'd play g3. If I was White, I would play g3. So to just destroy every tactical opportunity for the Black's knight. Knight f4 is not a threat right now, but after we play g3, we have an h4 idea, and h5 will be a threat, and knight would have to go to h8. This is not nice when you have to place your knight on h8, you know. Knight b3 is played. So you see, White has no reason to hurry, but after bishop g5, White has to play g3 for sure. Why don't do that? It's still fine. c6 can be played. White takes some time to think and count some variations maybe. Queen c2 is a little bit looks like a waste of time. Knight goes to e1. No, it's not looking like a correct play, to be honest. This is so slow. White is trying to play safe. I can understand that. So now knight goes to d3. So at least we like made this clear that Black will not win this pawn back. Also f4 is threatening. But now Black can play knight f4, for example. And White will at least have to count some variations. No, takes on d4 instead. Interesting decision, and also a weak one, because now White wins this for sure with not much problems. And after knight f4 especially, we can just exchange, play g3, f4, and just absolutely no counterplay for Black. We'll play rook a6, rook a1, and that's what you have to avoid when you're playing against an opponent who is just low on time because he took berserk or elsewhere. Because you have to create some problems, and now in this position, Black has absolutely no counterplay. So White, every White's move is quite easy and not many chances to make a huge mistake. Now Queen c5 can be played. No, Queen a4 instead. Looks strange. Rook a7. It will be still fine because just you see, White's advantage is so huge. I doubt the c7 move. That looks strange. Why not just play something like rook e7, then rook e7? Oh no, White is really not having a good time. Just wasting the advantage. Oh, and Black blundered checkmate. Somehow it worked. But yeah, I think White was playing a dangerous game. I think White was losing after Queen c1 check, rook b2 check. I think white king would be checkmated there. So once again, I think Fatality plays really good chess in terms of strategy, but when she's low on time, just lack of experience comes through, and she lets it go, makes some huge mistakes. That will come like in a couple of years of practice for sure. Nothing to worry about. I would say to your fans. So it's fine. We've all been there. When I was a child as well, I had so many missed opportunities and missed wins. So this is quite a usual thing. So in this game, this is like the exception because I think Black's position in terms of like strategy is doubtful, I would say, because dark squares are so weak. And well, maybe it's not as bad because at least we have knights on d5 and f5 that are quite dominant positions. But once again, white had a clear plan of playing something like b4, b5, and I don't really see a counterplay for black. I didn't see. Now I see. Now black can try something like h4, knight f4, h3. For some reason, black castles kingside. Maybe. For me, it's like it's too safe because now white has even not a single plan on the queen side, also the one on the king side by playing like g3, king g2, rook h1, and then g4. Because you see, you can never play h takes g4 because if h file opens, this is just like black's king is checkmated sooner or later in like 1 or 2 moves. White have chosen the counterplay on the queen side. I would still play g3 here because why not? Why would we give black's knight like a theoretical opportunity to create some counterplay by playing knight f4, for example? So we can just play slow g3, king g2, create some more chances. White is playing h4. a4 is still nice. I think white just has to take his time, not rush it, because like 25 seconds is. Black is desperate to find some counterplay, so takes on f6. Once again, this is a very risky decision because now knight is like has to stand on f5 and can go away because queen will rotate to h6, and this will be once again absolutely destroying black's position. But now after c5, I can really see the way when this game can finish in favor of black. Well, maybe not anymore because black has 15 seconds. Very weird position. A lot to count here. I would not play d takes c5 for sure, because I think white had a huge advantage in terms of like the positioning of the king. So exchanging queens is not like in favor of white. Maybe white's just playing time. So don't want to risk at all. Knight h6, the pawn can be defended. Also, maybe white can blunder some checkmate ideas after rook b1. Knight g4, knight takes e5. At least we got some counterplay. Knight g4. Yeah. That's it. And now we have to find something quickly. Knight takes on e5. No, with 6 seconds, I just don't believe in this. Rook f5. Takes king e5. Well, we can try and draw, exchange all the pawns. But I just doubt that white would exchange rooks. This is like in terms of winning the game, it's quite a stupid decision because why would you risk it? With the rooks on the board, you always can like destroy black on time, and now black is playing for draw and can manage to do it. In the time rush, black accidentally blundered the pawn, so now white will have time to win. Maybe something goes wrong. Fatality is trying her best. And yeah, that's it. Oh my god. White was playing so slow. So you see, I said that Fatality has a lack of experience, but you see, she has lack of experience in chess, but not in the online chess. So you see how fast she played it and got the result. Now let's rotate to the Pinkamena game. Oh, we had a very sad scenario here. 12 seconds and lost game. But I think we'll stick with Pinkamena maybe. Once again, let's give young players some chances to show themselves. I played Pinkamena yesterday in the tournament. You may have seen that. And she's quite a strong young player, very talented. And Fatality even made a draw against me. So I think in a couple of years, like I'll be struggling to make a draw against Fatality. So she's progressing really fast. So let's go back to her game. Oh, and she already has an extra minor piece. But yeah, the opponent is just so low rated. So this is going to be easy. I don't know if you noticed that, but in the last couple of tournaments, I think in two last tournaments, Fatality is playing every game with a Berserk. That's what like the coach said. Father, the coach. So that's why. So she's just learning to play to be good at like blitz games. That's quite a nice way of practicing, let's say. Queen g7 check. Yeah. And knight d6 maybe. She'll just take on h4. Yeah, that's much easier. e5, king b6, queen c5. Well, let's go back to Pinkamena. That's quite an interesting position. I think it's looked like maybe, yeah, field or defense, as I thought. This was a very unlikely sequence of moves. I think it was better for white not to exchange this bishop. As you see, young players don't really, understand the full power of bishop usually. Just like knights, especially in the blitz games. You see knight 4, all this stuff. Oh wow, some action Fatality game. Oh, let's just watch this game because it's two berserks, rarely to be seen, and also a very huge rated opponent. Black. Oh, the material is equal, and white is trying some crazy attack. Wow, that's impressive. The pawn on f6 just kills all the like bishop on f8, knight on e8. If white managed to like not lose all these pawns in like 2 or 3 moves, white will have a huge advantage, maybe, just maybe. But this looks really threatening. Well, e4 is a so dangerous move. Why would you do that? Black couldn't take on e4 because of bishop takes e4, and this was just be a straight checkmate. I also doubt the e takes d5 move because white's king is like struggling for cover. Now we have an extra pawn. This is looking quite nice. The bishop goes to d6. Also, black is like has nothing against exchanging pieces, so this helps white. Queen goes to h3, knight f1, maybe something like this. Oh, queen f3, yeah, that's nice. Queen f3 is a good move. The exchange, oh, this really favors white. I think it's not a good idea to exchange queens in this kind of position because even with you see with the queens on the board, white's king was looking much more in danger than black's king. But now black's king is looking in danger. Yeah, so the ideas like king f2 and rook h1, they're still on the cards even after black giving up an exchange. Knight h4 check can be played here. And then after king takes g5, rook g1 is just winning. g2. So yeah, we have an extra exchange. d5 check and rook h1. Rook h1. It was checkmate. No. Now 18 seconds and now it's looking very complicated. No, that's so unlucky. But we still can win this. 13 seconds is not much time, but we can do it. Yeah, rook g1 is very good move. So now all our moves will be fast. a4, a5, and let's just rook takes f7. Yeah. Now we are safe. Rook f3 is a really it's a really impressive move. Rook f3 is really good. If she would play rook g3 check, I would just say that she's an absolute like pro. Didn't do it, but all the other moves were good. So now we surely have time. Queen d5, rook. Oh no! No! Oh my God! No! How unlucky is this? Oh my God! Queen g8 maybe is better. This was so unlikely. You don't even know how unlikely this was. I'm not only talking about luck, but just you see, knight takes c4 is such a like this move just white was not ready for this. So I think white was pre-moving something like maybe queen e3 check, something like this. But knight takes c4 check just really caught white off guard, and so. Well, chat, do you want to look at this nice little creature? Trying to run. I want to show you, but no. I just can't do it. We had a nice little mouse here. Yeah, sorry. Well, let's see Fatality getting some revenge, but this opponent is once again has a strong rating. The pawn structure is nice for black because anytime black can play like d5, this will be a Carlsbad structure, and we'll have b5 b4 idea, the pawn minority that I always mention, because like queen side is my home opening, I would say. Bishop b5. Maybe black is thinking about something like bishop g4, but not working because of h3 right now. Queen goes to c7. h3 is played. Bishop goes to d6. Black needs to like develop pieces, and what is this? Oh, knight on h5 is attacked. A little blunder from black. So now white has an extra pawn. And this is so weird. White was not berserking. Usually when one side takes berserk and there are two relatively strong players playing against each other, the other side takes berserk as well. It's like, I don't know, it's like a good tone, I would say. And also, this is good for both sides because you save a lot of time, and in this kind of tournaments, this is important in the arena tournaments. But this is not the case, and white tries to get this advantage, to take it and use it. Bishop goes to e6. This was a nice move, and black was going to play queen takes e6 after the exchange, and queen takes b7 would be met by rook b8. So white saw this and moved the bishop away. White has an extra pawn, but this is not going to be too easy. The only case is that black already have 35 seconds, and this is not looking good. Because once again, this is not a position with too much of a counterplay. So this game will last at least 30 more moves, most likely. After the queen's exchange, this is going to be a really difficult endgame for black. And black has not only to draw it, but also to make it fast. This is not going to be easy. a4 is played. a3 is a threat. Let's see if we can do it. Bishop c6. This gives white opportunity to play rook c5. Rook c5 is dangerous, but white decides otherwise, plays rook d2. And black is not playing a3, surprisingly. Rook b8, rook b8, no? Rook b8 was good. Rook a8 is fine as well. Rook d6, bishop e8. Bishop is not good at e8, and white black blunders the rook. That's what happens when you are low on time. You have to make some pre-moves, you have to play fast, and sometimes this stuff happens. Well, let's give Fatality some time to recover and turn to the Pinkamena game. Why just every time when I turn on the Pinkamena game, she just... I wanted to say she blundered something because I saw that Black's king is caught, but it's not the case. And also I noticed that Black actually has an extra minor piece for 2 pawns, so some sort of material advantage. I'd still say that White's position is better because, like, just look at these pieces. Come on. This is so weird. Black has just absolutely nowhere to go. Oh my god. There are no like safe moves for Black, so White can just play like a4, a5. I don't know. Rook g8. So White is rushing for some reason. I don't see that this is a good idea, but still so funny. Now actually there is some tactics. Maybe bishop e4 can be played. No, Black just exchange rooks, gives a check, and maybe something like queen d4. No, Black even takes the pawn. Let's see if this will not become his undoing, because the threats are quite strong. King on h5 is not really looking safe, especially after the h6 move. Oh my god, so dangerous. f4 is played. I don't like the f4 move, and I don't like the bishop h4 move either, because now White can just take on h4 and will be checkmated after king takes h4. Black notices that, so needs to make some other move, and bishop e4 looks fine. But it will be much better if we didn't play bishop h4. We will be actually winning the game. That was really unlucky, and now we lose. Oh, and White have 10 seconds. And there is no checkmate. We can take on h4 safely. No, bishop g6 is even played, and we are still not checkmated. Queen goes to e3. Queen f3 is the threat. So we have to make something work. Queen d1. Now g4 can be played. Queen takes g4. Go, take on. Queen takes g4. Because you'll be checkmated after king takes h4. Yeah, that's it. Oh, and White removed the checkmate. We got this. We got this, guys.
Выиграла. Да, 200. 200.
White is really excited. I can hear that. Nice. Good win for Pinkamena. Like 2000, more than 2100 rating. That's much. Oh, let's go back to Fatality game. Have some like old school classics Italian opening. Now our opponent is a gentleman, so took berserk with us. Black managed to just win one favorable exchange. So exchanged his knight against the bishop, but this is a usual thing in this kind of opening. Knight is also useful, so White has a lot of ideas how to use this knight. For example, knight can rotate to f5 somehow, or maybe straight play d4. Yeah, and after all these exchanges, Black's position is really like not good, I'd say. So after the exchange on f6, oh, why didn't we take on f6? Bishop g3 is a strange move, because now you see it's a different colored bishops and always a lot of chances for a draw. I think the exchange was working. You see, that's funny how Black just tries to make this exchange. It's not really good for Black, because now there are not so much chances for the draw. And in this exact position, knight is actually maybe even better than the bishop. Knight d5, yeah, that's nice. So we'll have the open file. This is good. Rook d4 is a weird move. Rook c8 could be played. Black didn't do it. Oh, c3 is a so strange move. Black can just exchange and play a4 and have a real advantage. But for some reason, just both sides just completely misplay this endgame. That's so strange. And after this exchange, it's a safe draw. But I think White will win this game just because of the time. And if Black continues to blunder pawns like this, maybe even in terms of position, we'll got this. Yeah, e5, so the rook is fine. It will not be caught.
Надо было еще считать, что не думаю.
We have a 4 on 3.
Ну, хоть
Usually it's a draw, but maybe not now. No, I am mistaken. It's not usually a draw. It's usually a victory, but a very difficult one.
выиграла.
Well, now it's definitely a draw.
На 7.
White is going for just this kind of win just when we
Мне еще
do it solo in time.
надо.
You see, it's always a big discussion in the like chess players community if these are like bad manners to play
У нас вот
for
про
time
это сколько
in these kind of
получилось?
positions.
Половину
My
четырех
opinion
вторых
is that
или
you see
половину
it's bad manners when you play rook against rook, for example. But when we have pawns, I think it's fine to play it just solo on clock. Even if we have like one pawn and this is like a theoretically drawn position, I still think that it's fine. Well, you may have your own opinion, so this is quite a hot discussion between like chess players, so it's just you to decide. Now we have a Caro-Kann defense, h4. This is like a relatively like new variation, like modern one. Exchange happens, c4 is played. Knight e7. Knight goes to d5, so we already have seen this kind of position today. Well, Fatality really goes for this position every game. Maybe this position is fine. I just don't like it. I don't know if this is fine, but this is not looking good like for me. It's not working for me. Because I see the clear plan for white, but I don't see this for black. Oh, and you see that just in this time black decided to castle queenside, and sadly this is a huge blunder. And this opponent has a really big rating, so has to convert it without any problems. Yeah, knight takes e6. Just this is just too much. We could have played and could have found some chances when we were exchanged down, but now black also have some pawns. Even decided not to take on h5, just castle first to make the position safe, to not just waste this opportunity to convert. Queen f7 can be played. No, f4 instead. Well, Fatality is not really having a good time, so let's just rotate to the Pinkamena game. Oh, and once again, Pinkamena is struggling as well. So let's go back maybe. Let's see if Fatality manages to find some chances. Oh, and Rook is eaten, so it's not looking likely. Knight e3 and just f7 could be played. No, Queen e4 instead. White is playing it safe. Just not going for any tactics. So Pinkamena is checkmated. I think that we have to watch the Pinkamena game next because we were sticking too much with Fatality. See, for me, it's just much more exciting. Oh, we don't even have to choose now because they're playing against each other. So, chat, just place your bets. So we have Fatality having a skill advantage and like an age advantage and all the advantages in the world, but on the other side we have Fatality with a time advantage. Pinkamena with a time advantage. And also, if you remember the previous game between these two, it ended up like in Pinkamena's favor, I think. So, yeah, I'm right actually. So 2-1, Pinkamena is just owning Fatality right now. Well, maybe owning is just a little bit too much, but well, we have something like maybe the Dutch defense pawn structure. the position really favors white a lot because the bishop on c8 is just not taking part in the action, and knight takes e5 is a huge blunder, a really huge one, because we absolutely cannot move the knight away, especially on d7. Knight e4 was at least maybe fine, but now black will be checkmated, and after knight f8 we'll just happily play rook takes f8 and just give black this exchange, but for only a single move. A fast one for Fatality. Good to, you see, find some form. And this was actually really nice. I really like the rook f8 move. So rook f8 was baiting, like, so white was getting ready for the knight f8 move to play rook takes f8 and then play queen c7 checkmate. But black played rook f8 instead, so baiting white into like playing rook takes f8 accidentally, then knight takes f8, and we just now not checkmated anymore. So you see, that's some really good awareness from the young 8-year-old player. So this is really amazing. If she really had this idea, so this is just like genius play. So like for this, let's stick with Pinkamena for some more games as like a little gift to the young talent. Bishop c5, yeah, knight takes c5 is a move. It's a possible one. I think it's a good one. Once again, I'm not really a fan of like playing e4 and playing e5 for black. See, I had like a couple of games in the classical chess, both ways. Bishop takes f2 is not good, usually. I think in this position as well, because all this like is in vain because king is relatively safe. King g1 was better, of course, but king e1 is fine still. But we have two bishops, we have center, and we have just everything to state our advantage. We just don't have to play e5 now because e5 was blundering queen h4 check. Knight d5 is also a mistake because of queen h4 check.
Короче, если вы
So we had
играете
to
в
play
это
something like
турнире,
bishop e3, I
пожалуйста,
assume.
сдавайтесь мне сейчас же.
Ah, this is not nice because queen takes e4 is very strong. We'll have to play queen e2, yeah, and now at least we can take with our bishop,
вообще
because if we
проигрываете
would have to play king takes e2, then knight takes d4 check and knight e6 will be just owning us. But now
Вот вам всем подарочек.
black still could have played knight takes d4, but I just don't think this was good. So king d8 is better. Well, at least we got some compensation.
Люблю качаться на
We had the advantage, but now our position is worse, but at least we have some counterplay, some chances. Bishop goes to e6, or bishop h5 is a really weird move. And it's gonna cost white, because now we have to save our knight, and then black will take on d4. I think c4 is essentially necessary. Yeah, that's it. Because now, at least after knight takes d4, we can queenside castle and have an open d file. This will give us some counterplay. Let's see if it works. Yeah, queenside castle, please. Do it. Do it. Queenside castle. That's it. Not this difficult. Let's go. Let's go. King to c1. Rook to d1. No. Why? Why? Oh. Oh no. I am actually so dumb. We can't make a castling because we moved our king before. You see, I'm called a FIDE master, so what you can achieve if I can make blunders like this. Yeah. Yeah, this castling would be really really nice in terms of counterplay. But I don't like the c6 move because it weakens the d6 pawn, and we got some chances once again. Even if black manages to exchange the h5 bishop or what g4. No, g4 is not good. G6 is just winning. Why? No. There's so many mistakes. At least in this position we have like different squared bishops, and so this gives us counter chances. But black has 3 extra pawns. I think 3 is pretty much enough for sure. But maybe, just maybe, we'll do it. Let's watch it. King f2. black has to play knight f5 to not lose the d6 pawn. We can count something like h6 maybe, or rook g1. Well, in the bad position, all the moves are bad, as we know. But we have to fight. We have to play it. The opponent's rating is not looking really huge, so at least we got some chances. Maybe b3, forcing bishop to move to e6, then knight e4, threatening knight c5, and knight takes d6. Oh, and black even plays d5. d5 is not looking good, yeah, because we can play b3, yeah. And then maybe, I don't know, yeah, rook g5 looks nice. g6, maybe exchange and play h4. No, h4, knight takes h4 could be played, or maybe not. h4 is nice. h4, knight takes h4, and we can even count knight takes d5 maybe. Of course, it's not working, but we have to risk it. We're losing. d4 is played, knight a4. So there is a threat of a check. So black will have to take it seriously and play b6. b6, oh no, it was essentially like really necessary. Because yeah, knight c5 is now black are in danger. a4 can be played. Black will be forced to move the bishop back. And I will not even take the bishop. White did, but yeah, even wasn't forced to. Could have played it otherwise. I think rook g1 needs to be played because rook on g5 is relatively useless. Yeah, that's it. That's the move. Rook e1. And we have a really huge time advantage now. 10 seconds for black. So let's see if Pinkamena is fast enough to convert this. I think it's looking really good for Pinkamena. I think at this point, the evaluation of the position doesn't really matter because for sure there is not enough time to really win this. So we can just play clock and we have a really big advantage. And rook takes this rook can be played, and we'll have a lot of extra time because always when you are like playing time, you can be playing at the clock, so you can give some checks, and the opponent is usually not ready for this and waste some time because he wants just to make any move, to just do it fast, and you give a check, and he's forced to defend from the check. There's some tricks going on. At this exact position, this was also the strongest move, of course, but Pinkamena got the moves, so d4 is played, so this next game d4, d5, bishop f4. See, black, Pinkamena, she doesn't really care about just how bad the white squared bishop will be in those queen pawn openings. I think that's something to work on. So I've seen this weakness for quite a while. In this position are not really fun to play because white can like play maybe f4, bishop f2, then just g4, g5, and just try some attack. Bishop f4 can be played, for example, and then g4. Now h4 is played instead. Still fine. Knight e8 can be played, for example. Knight e8, then f5, then knight goes back to f6 or maybe d6. The exchange on e5 is also good because now the e5 pawn is attacked. And also there are some very good counter chances. For example, after queen f5, queen h5, we maybe can consider playing f5. And after e takes f6, we'll have the bishop takes g3 move. This will be quite nice. Queen e7 is played instead. White is playing f4. f4 is weakening white's position pretty much, I would say. Queen b4, this is like a childish move. So just attacking the pawn. The problem is black is not solving the problems that she has on the queen side. She just don't care. And it's gonna cost black at some point. Oh, b3 is so dangerous. I think b3 is like And knight takes f7 even. Why would we? It's not. There is not even a checkmate here.
Мне тоже сейчас
So what we're
кажется.
going for? Bishop e1. I think that bishop a5 in the previous move was just straight winning the game for black. Now black still has an extra minor piece. Of course, there is an attack on the white side, but bishop takes e5 was winning now because queen was really in trouble. I don't see it coming. I think black has to convert this. b5. Wow. Now I'm scared a little bit. Oh, and rook g7. Rook g7 is not looking pretty, I would say. Rook g1 can be played now. This is really dangerous. Oh, I had to play king e7, of course. Yeah, rook g1 is played. At least we can take on c2. But I don't see the continuation, that's the problem. How do we defend the g7 rook? Queen h7 is the only move. Oh no, no. I think black thought that white were forced to take on d2, but that was not the case. This is sad. We'll still don't lost this yet, so we can find some chance still. Queen f5, for example, maybe some queen h5 check. So let's not lose hope. Rook g7. At least white doesn't have some like really unavoidable threats. So the queen f7 was the only one, and it's now not the case. Rook goes to b7. Rook a8 maybe can be played. Yeah, yeah, that's it. Queen g7, and yeah, this threat looks like really serious. But we can play queen h5. At least a check. So we get some extra time. The problem is, even if we manage to exchange queens, which is looking like possible, even in this case, our position is completely lost. King f8, king f1 is such a strange move. I don't see a single reason why would we do that. I think now it's a draw. What a weird move. Why? Just why? Now, queen c1 now can be played, and queen takes e4. So white is trying to lose it as hard as possible, even giving up the h4 pawn. I think if black took on h4, this goes three ways already. Oh, for somehow white's king fights the same haven, but yeah, and now it's lost. But this was I don't why just why. Unlucky stuff for Pinkamena trying her best, but didn't find the necessary queen takes h4 move. I think it was working already. No, in fact, it wasn't. Oh no, it was. No, it wasn't because after queen takes h4, white would play king d1. Then queen h1 is not working because of king c2, and queen d4 was not working because of rook d2, and the queen is capturing the g1 square, so black will have to play king queen a1 check, and after king e2, the e5 pawn is defended by the queen, and was not working, and we can now safely go back to fatality game, which takes one more berserk. I will not even state it anymore because she just does this in every game. We have 40 minutes left, and fatality is 8th place. The material is equal, and the d4 pawn is looking strong, but it's always in relative danger. I think white's position is really bad, and because of a single reason, that b2 knight, because it just can go absolutely nowhere. So b5 pawn is just destroying it, and yeah, white was essentially just a minor piece down, and also had 10 seconds, so it's not competitive anymore. So guys, I need a little break, like maybe 15 seconds. I'll be right back.
Кто-то поможет мне? Кто-то когда-то возьмет.
So guys, I'm right back. We have a Sicilian defense here. In the Fatality game, I mean. We had like this weird variation. How was it called? I forgot. The more gambit, something like this. Oh my god, and it worked. What? Black already lost. I was going to check the theory and it's already over. Queen c7 is such a weird move. Guys, I need to have a little break once more, sorry. Sorry guys, I'm back. So this is a famous variation of the Ruy Lopez opening. Wow. Yeah. So d4 is played h3. Knight will maybe now go to g3. After knight f1, yeah, even g4 is included. So that's the usual plan. You see, after in the e4, e5 pawn structure, the f5 is a weak square usually in most of the openings, and it's exploited now by white. So knight is rotated somewhere next to the a5 square. e5 is played. This is really looking good for white because now you see the board is like cut between, and there are two sides like queen side and king side. Because of this weird pawn structure, and this is good for white because all white pieces are just looking on the king side, and this may be a straight attack, and black don't really have a real enough counterplay. Now white has a winning tactics. Knight takes e7 check and bishop g5. Didn't fight it, sadly, but yeah, b2 is not the right square for the bishop in this position. Yeah, because it's just spotting, looking in the d4 pawn, doing nothing. So we have to rotate the bishop back. Oh, f6 is desperate. Now with the pawn on e6, white have a huge advantage, I think. Rook c1, maybe rook c6 now? No. Queen c2, queen b1. So such a safe play from white. Don't really want to risk at all. It looks like white may regret this decision soon, because this threat is looking very serious already. Knight takes a4. It takes b2. 15 seconds against 10 seconds. So we have a time advantage, but black have more easy moves because of this position. h6, yeah, check, queen e8. There is no forfeit, preferable check for black, and so white will win it. Yeah, queen f7, e7. Oh, that's a tricky move, but yeah, we're fine. So let's stick with Fatality for one more game at least. Okay, so the opening was yeah, Caro-Kann as usual. It's like the Fatality like is a specialist of this one.
Мне, короче, не
So she is
очень мало
2-1
времени.
up against this opponent. So
Я еле
statistically she's a favorite, and in terms of ratings as well.
король и ничья.
White has two bishops, a little bit ruined pawn structure,
Как?
but I'd still favor white in this position. White has to move the queen away, something like queen g3, and then try f4, f5. A queen h5 is still fine. I would really recommend black to play something like... no, queen h4 is not working because of bishop takes g6, but... So we'll have to find some other way to do all these necessary exchanges. f5 is played. I really like this move. f5 is fine. Because f4 a little bit blocked white's dark squared bishop. Now the e6 pawn is weak, but f5 was a necessary move. If we didn't do that, white will really have a strong initiative. So yeah, queen d6 is played. This defense from bishop e3. Actually, a4 was threatening it once again. I played b6. So black successfully managed to like isolate the dark squared bishop of white. So it's relatively useless. So rook a to e1 is played. So white is fencing their chances on attacking the e6 pawn, but blunders on f4. Oh, and even gives up an exchange. I don't think the compensation is going to be enough. I'm sure about this. Rook e8 is a really huge threat. So maybe white thought that he had time to play d takes c5, but it's not the case. Rook f1 is played. Now there is still a rook a8, rook a8 to e8 move possible, but I don't think that this is this good. No, queen c7 is better, I think. Yeah. We don't have to rush. We have time. Rook a to e8 is still on the cards, and the bishop on a3 is still relatively useless. So bishop c1 is played. You see, there is... It's fair enough. There is much logic in just white's plays. But yeah, it's not all about logic and strategy. It's about tactics as well. And you see, white blundered the f4 pawn and just now regrets this decision for sure. Bishop goes to g5. Rook a to e8 is still fine. Maybe black is not doing it because of queen f5, actually. Yeah, queen f5 is dangerous. Knight e4 is played. Knight e4 is a good move. Oh, and I noticed right now that Fatality didn't take a berserk in this game. You see, one game without berserk and an easy win. Is that how it works? Looks like it. The rooks are exchanged, and this is the important moment. When you're playing with two rooks and your opponent has one rook, for example, you're an exchange up, or you're playing rook and some pawns against two minor pieces. If you manage to exchange rooks, you have a really huge advantage usually. So this really favors you a lot. Now black also managed to exchange queens, and yeah, rook is just now going to absolutely destroy white's position. Rook c8 is played, bishop f5. The only problem is that white can manage to exchange too many pawns, but it will not going to be like the reality because of rook e5. Rook e1 is played for some reason. Why not rook e5? Oh, now it's even better. Rook e5 is winning. Because after bishop d4, we will play knight d1 check and rook takes f5. Black didn't see that, but come on, doesn't really matter because white has 16 seconds and there's absolutely not a single way to win this game with 16 seconds. For sure. Because what even has to happen at this point? Knight goes to e3, we can count knight takes d3, but I don't really think that we have to. This is like a little bit risky, so maybe it's better to avoid this decision. Yeah, and that's what happens. Rook goes to a1. So black totally understands that there is absolutely no reason to have any kind of risk. King will stand on d5, and with 7 seconds, there is nothing to talk about. Rook f6 is fine. Yeah, rook g6, some checks, win some time. G6 is played. Oh, and now king is even cut away. Black is not even, white is not even defending pawns already, so just no hope for the unfaced hope guy. Oh, two berserks. Once again, we have like a real fight going on. D4, knight f6, knights. Oh, there is like a very tricky opening. So one of my previous coaches really liked it. The idea is like in the d5 case, which happens in this game. So knight rotates to g6, and we have like a little bit of like a queen's Indian structure. But bishop is usually standing on g7, being quite useless. But now bishop went to c5 and exchanged, and this is good because usually this is a bad piece for black. And now, yeah, and now black is not having this problem anymore. So there is an open file. And usually in the positions where one side has a huge space advantage, um, you see, when the side has a space advantage, it's good for this side to not exchange minor pieces. Because the main advantage of having space is that minor pieces are bad in the lack of space. And without minor pieces, lacking space is even an advantage itself because it's difficult to defend more space. I know it's difficult, but that's how chess works. Black have some tricky maneuvers, so knight on g6 went to h8 and f7, and it's still so bad. Has absolutely nowhere to go. No, now there is a possible maneuver. Knight can go to d8, b7, c5. Black didn't see it and went back for some reason. Black has time advantage, but now white's position is better because the a4 pawn is hanging and will be eaten at some point. This will happen for sure. King can just go to b4. White has a lot of time. I'm not talking about clock. I'm talking about like chess time. Oh yeah, that's what happens. King goes to b4. Now white will have only to defend the e4 pawn. So for example, play rook e3. Decides not to do that. Maybe it looked too risky. Well, now we can take on a4. Knight e3, rook f3. So nice to check. Oh, it didn't work out. Wow, knight d4 is even played. Oh, black made some really good moves. I didn't even notice this idea, and Fatality didn't as well. Some weird moves going on, but you see this only because of time trouble. It's the usual thing, and yeah, black will have time to checkmate. Black played really well. You see, in the lack of time, Black was making some tricky moves, some strong ones, found some impressive ideas, so well-deserved win. And a sad loss for Fatality, so we're going back to Pinkamena now. Let's go. And every time when I go to Pinkamena game, she's either checkmated or having an absolutely hopeless position. I don't know how it works. It's like some sort of curse. Maybe it's better not to watch Pinkamena's games, but you know, all for the viewers, so we don't have such a choice, so let's go. Yeah, Pinka loves pawn a3 with black, that's true. It's all because like in the Blitz games you have to find some simple ideas, and that's one of them. So it makes sense. Okay, Pinkamena's game is not starting, so no, it's starting now. So let's go.
Спасибо.
Jean de la Fontaine, some French-sounding nickname.
36-е.
I used to play against Robert Fontaine, who is the first board on the Monaco
Он, да,
national
вообще
team.
одинаковые, кстати.
And I have a favorable scoreline against him. So I had some nice games. Of course, it's not that guys. But rating is still high, so if Pinkamena wins, we'll gain a lot of points. Knight goes on f6, queen h4. Bishop g5 can be played, or knight g5 maybe. Yeah, h6. Oh, and now white can play bishop takes h6. And I just believe that this position is won. I don't see the way how it possibly can be wrong. So the next move is knight g5, and the next move is bishop h7. And there is no hope once again, sadly. Maybe we can try our chances by playing rook a8, but c5 is played, so maybe black don't even see the threats. It's quite a typical attack, so that's why I found it so quickly. This is a usual thing when pieces are placed like that. Now bishop h7 is winning. What the next moves are though? Maybe it's not that easy. Well, white safely can play like h4 maybe. Not even just force the issue. Just wait some moves. Bishop c2 check is played. So we got some idea. King g8. Yeah, h4 is played. Well, maybe it's not this hopeless. Maybe there is still a chance. g3 is a strong threat, I think. If the bishop is forced away, yeah, and it is forced away. Oh, d3 is played. d3 is nice. That's why I thought that bishop c2 check is a mistake. I thought that bishop have to that the bishop would rather stay on h7, because the bishop was a very important piece for white's attack, and now it's made useless. Oh, and now there are some ideas like e5 for black and bishop g4 check. Of course, it's not working right now, but it's on the cards now. Queen d6 is played. Oh, I don't think that's going to work because now the g file is opened. Oh, and also white can just play queen takes f6, queen c6. Fun little idea, but it would maybe worked if queen f3 was a possible threat. But once again, it's not the case. Rook g1 is played. Rook g1. Bishop takes g5, and yeah. Material advantage, strategical advantage has to be enough. Set. I don't think we have some chances, so let's go back to fatality. Fatality is struggling as well. You see, bishop on a3 looks quite dominant. And white can now have just take on a6 and have a material advantage. Decides against that. And maybe it will be his undoing because I don't see the continuation of this attack. Queen goes to g3. Queen f6 can be played, for example. Well, you see, black's king is like standing in center, and the bishop on a3 is just making sure that the castling will never happen. This is very sad, of course, for black. And white's position is just much better, but not hopeless at least. Rook d1, maybe threatening something like d5. I think rook d8 is quite safe. Oh, knight d5 is played instead. Bishop c5. We would like to play queen f4, but the g7 pawn is hanging. We played knight f4. I think g5 maybe was good. g5 with the idea of queen f4. Yeah, this is you see, this is a very difficult position when you have 30 seconds. It's really difficult one. Oh, at least we got some counterplay. That's nice. Rook h6. Wow. Commander's Fatality is really finding some chances. Now decides to exchange queens because rook on a8 was under attack. And black will surely be checkmated otherwise. So that's why Fatality decides to go to endgame, at least hoping that 20 seconds is not enough to win for white. Just trying it. You see, white will need a lot of moves to win this game. I'm not sure if 16 seconds is even like enough to win by the position when you are like lower than 2200 of rating. Oh, what a blunder! What a blunder! And 2 seconds, yeah. We are hoping for a stalemate if white somehow decides to play rook a5. It's not the case. Yeah, unlucky. So one more fatality game.
Спасибо, пацан.
Pierre from Russia. That's the most Russian nickname ever.
Просто ты самый лучший.
c3 is played. d3, h3. Oh, I see. I think white is tilting right now. What is this? Well, you see, there is a like quite famous Russian player, Mikhail Demidov, and he used to win a tournament, like a Blitz tournament, and with a very huge amount of games. I think it was like marathon, with like more than 50 rounds, and he managed to win the entire thing by playing only this opening for both sides. So it's not that bad. So there is a possibility to convert this. Nice, go to g3, b4, queen d2. Yep, can be played. Oh, the position is relatively equal. I don't think that black has a huge advantage. Of course, it's only conversation about position being equal or black having advantage. Because of the weak h4 pawn. Now at the endgame, it's not a huge factor, I think. After we exchange rooks, I think it absolutely doesn't matter. e5 is played. Maybe rook b1? No, e4 instead. Oh, I don't like the e4 move. This is not a good move in the endgame because in the endgame we usually try to avoid placing our pawns in the color of our bishop. And this is like for the reason. I think d4 was much better than taking on e4 because the c3 is a key pawn. Because the c3 pawn dominates the c6 knight. So that's why black had to play d4 and exchange this pawn. Didn't do that. And also, you see, the c3 pawn controls d4 square. But on the other hand, the d5 square can't be controlled by a pawn. So that can be used to white's advantage. And now white has a bishop against like knights. knight d2 can be played. Yeah, now I think now maybe every result is possible because white have some clear counter chances, like having this bishop, rook b1, rook b5, all this stuff. Knight goes to c4, king d3, knight d6. The f5 is about to be lost, but it doesn't really matter because we'll play rook b1 and have a counterplay. Well, it does matter, of course, but I don't think that we'll have that green position. I think rook b1 was still better than the thing that white went for. c4 check. It's like black is trying to be smart, but I think white may even consider king d5. King played king d3 instead. c4 is a bad move because of rook f3 check, but black even didn't make this move. So after the pawn is on c5, I think that this position is already, it becomes like a little bit dangerous even for black, because if white move the king to d5, white will even have an advantage and some winning chances. And rook takes f2 is awful because of this. Black had to play something like knight e6, didn't do that. And now king c4 is possible, and king d5. We could win this, but try at least. Will black decide to go for a win and play king f8? Yeah, that's it. Decides it. c6 is what? Why? Well, I think that's only because of the time, because I don't see why would you do such a move. Well, black has time advantage. This looks desperate. King d5. At least let's play king d5. H3, trying to play for repetition. Why is not white playing king d5? It's working. Let's go, king d5, yeah. But it's not working now because of g3. What is happening? No. Well, let's not be too strict. White had like 3 seconds. Well, I think with 2 queens it will be relatively easy. Black was even risking a little bit, but still got this. Let's go to Pinkamena game, and it's the same attack once again. And bishop takes h6 is winning once again. No, this is so sad. I think Pinkamena really has to take some lessons in this variation, because bishop takes h6 was already winning, I think. It's definitely winning now, because there will be even a rook h3 move, just to make sure. White don't see this resource, but maybe don't even have to, because f5 is just so slow. It will never just, the pawn will never appear on a3 square, because black will be checkmated first. Rook h3 can be played. Bishop takes h6, just any move. Yeah, bishop takes h6 is played. And after g takes h6, we can play queen takes h6. Black will play f5, and we, for example, can just play rook h3 or queen g6 check first, and then rook h3. Knight takes e5, but this is not working because of bishop takes g7 maybe, or queen takes e5, or just anything. At least there is a chance. So knight takes e5 is a nice move. I appreciate that. Good job. But still, is there a checkmate for white? Well, there is not a way to win this just straight. So, well, knight takes e5 appears to be a really impressive move. Wow. Once again, young talent of Pinkamena just shows. It can't be underestimated. Oh, it definitely worked in the game. I'm not even sure that white has this much of an advantage now. Bishop d6. Yeah, bishop d6 is nice move, but knight d7 can be played. Knight g6 instead. Now we can try to play e5 and like Return our white square bishop to life.
согласился со мной сыграть
Queen
четырехконечный.
g5 is played. Queen d8 can be played. Yeah, Queen d8 was really good. It was solving all the problems, but young players never do this kind of moves. Because who exchange queens?
Я его пожалела.
Bishop
Я
e5,
так никогда не
g6.
сделаю.
No, black will be checkmated for sure after queen f6.
Да,
And the
я
knight
так
on
не сделаю.
h8
Я
is
никогда
just...
вот не
It's just
понимаю
beautiful, isn't it? Queen h6 is a little bit worse, but still working. Just one more move of f6. White will play bishop takes f6. And there is no hope. Queen takes h8 is the fastest check. Queen g7 now and queen e7. Set. But well, that's logical. That's why Pinkamena is always going for this variation. It's never working, as you were mentioning in the comments. Yeah, I read the comments. Please be nice. Yeah, so has to work on this aspect.
Я следующую партию просердила.
So what we have in the fatality game? Oh, finally we see fatality like making the sweet checkmate. But yeah, the opponent just is pretty weak, so I don't think this was too difficult. You may think that fatality is just not having a good form, but yesterday I had a really hard time playing against her, so just think again. Knight c6 exchange. Oh, the opponent is just two-upping fatality,
Я с ним тоже играла.
so it's not going to be easy. But I like black's position now. I think it's fine. Well, but maybe I was wrong because now I don't I don't like black's position already. G8. Oh my god. Oh, this is so. Oh, when black blundered the queen. Fatality is just tired, I think. She is just tired. I think this is the last chance to get points. The next game will be last. As you could see, she even forgot to take the berserk in the one game. I don't think she did this on purpose. I think she forgot. So here it is, the last game. Let's go. Knight f3, knight f6, g3. It's something like Catalan. Yeah, d4, c4. No, knight goes to d2 instead. c4, c6, b3. So yeah, knight e4 was weird. I think we could take on e4 and this would be an advantage. A Dutch opening pawn structure. So we have a strong control on the e5 square. The plan is to try and go e4. Rook a should go to e1. It goes to d1 instead for some reason. Maybe I don't know something. I'm not sure. Knight f2 can be played, and then e4. C takes d5 is not a nice move, I think, because this gives black's bishop opportunity to come alive after bishop a6. Knight goes to f4, rook e8. Now maybe no, e4 is still not working. Rook c1 instead. Bishop d6. Now we can exchange and try to take control on the c file. Play knight d3 instead. White has a little bit of an advantage because of the, like white's knight has the e5 square, but black's knight don't have the e4 square. Otherwise, on the other hand, so knight d7 is played. The exchange happens. e4 is played. Yeah, that's the usual plan at the Dutch opening. It's working now. White has a little bit of an advantage, I think. I'd like to think. Yeah, rook f1 is good. Queen g6, queen e2 maybe. Queen e2 is fine because we're still controlling the rook c2 move, attacking the e6 pawn, defending the rook, attacking the a6 pawn, so it's like a multifunctional move. Rook f2 e1 can be considered in the next move. Maybe some ideas like d5 will be working in some time. Rook g4 and d5, for example, something like this. Bishop b4 is played. Now we can count rook g4 and d5. I think it's nice. Oh, bishop c1 is played. So you see, that's like the academical chess. So white is trying to move the bishop to e5. Because the bishop on a5 will be really dominating the position. Will force black bishop to go to f8, I think. Yeah, that was the plan, so I was right about it. Bishop goes to f4, then goes to e5, and then rook g4 is a really threatening move. Rook c2 is played. We can play queen g4, I think. Even without queens, the attack will be very strong. We'll get the f file. Rook will go to f7. Oh, rook takes a2 is losing for sure. It's a blunder, and yeah, that's it. The last game ended in our favor. Maybe we'll have time to play another one. I'm not sure. I don't think so. So let's stick with Pinkamena game. Pinkamena is losing, but no. Time is fine. We were just hoping that black will play c2 for some reason. But black will not, and that's how it ends. I don't think that there's going to be a stalemate. So let's go and watch the Fatality game, the last one. e4, c6, knight f3, d5, Catalan defense. White is not playing d4, so going for some tricky variations. Bishop g4, the bishop is exchanged. So that's the difference between Fatality and Pinkamena. Fatality likes to exchange the white squared bishops. That's the usual plan in Caro-Kann. Knight goes to b6 and d5. So black is playing an easy chess. I think knight e5 could be considered instead of this plan. But we have to play like easy when we play with the berserk. And both opponents took the berserk, so we may actually have time to finish this game and make these points count. Knight goes to d4, d2, b5 is played, g4. So black is attacking the queen side, white's attacking the king side. I think black's position is slightly better because black is a little bit faster, but the h6 pawn is a little bit misplaced, so g5 is threatening. But now it will be met by h5, so it's not this dangerous. Rook goes to c1. Black has to find some way to break through this defense. White played g5. Knight g4 can be counted now. Bishop f4 is played. Knight goes to c4, yeah. White has to take because after bishop takes d6, knight take d2 would be played. Bishop goes to a4, black is winning an exchange, can take on c1. Deciding which one to take, the pawn or the exchange. Decided to take the pawn. This is a safer decision between these two. a4, b3. Oh, that's nice attack. I think there is some way to checkmate. It has to be one. Rook goes to c2. That's a safe move. Rook takes a3 is a threat. This would be a beautiful ending of this day. Let's go. Rook takes a3, and that's checkmate. Nice one. Very good. Rook c3 or rook c4 or just anywhere. Rook a1 and queen a4. Yeah, that's just some play for the viewers. Let's go. Did you like that? That's a typical combination straight from the chess tactical book. And that's for you? Isn't this beautiful, guys? That's just a nice end of the day. I think Fatality had like a rough day, but now she'll be happy, I think. It's always like you're always glad to win this kind of game. Do you agree? Do you agree, Fatality? Nice combination. e5 is played. Knight takes e5, queen takes e5. I'm talking about the Pinkamena game. Of course, we have 10 seconds left, but still, let's just watch it. We'll not get the points, but let's give some respect to young talents. c5. He takes c5. I think Pinkamena is about to win this. Not just solely because the material advantage, but also the position overall is better. The d4 is a blunder. That's sad. But we still got this. I think even after this blunder, white's position may be better after rook e3, but rook a3 wasn't played. And so we have some some thriller going on. Rook d1, bishop d5. The exchange will happen. Yeah, that is the exchange. Well, at least we have 2 pawns for the bishop, but bishop on d5 is looking really powerful, to be honest. Goes to e6, queen takes h7. Now we have 3 pawns. 3 pawns standing together, just getting ready to promote, to rush the king side. Oh, and bishop d5 is brave. I think that we can even exchange and just exchange queens and try to win it. But no, that was not the choice of white. I think that's the better one, not to exchange queens. I agree with that decision. I just don't agree with these exact checks. Queen takes c2 is a blunder. So yeah, we got this. But 13 seconds. 13 seconds. I think it's better to just make a perpetual check. Yeah, yeah. That's a major decision. Yeah, good job. And Pinkamena actually made a nice draw.
9 секунд.
And so at least we have a nice ending of this day. And I hope the players are fine now, not tilting, enjoying this day, just having fun. I was enjoying the stream. I hope you had fun as well. And I hope to see you next Monday. No, not next Monday. Actually, you can watch the tournament on the Wednesday. We usually have tournaments on the Wednesday and on Sunday, as you know. So just come on the stream on Wednesday. Usually you watch these games without some commentary, but now this will change. I played in the previous tournament, and these tournaments are really nice. So, but I didn't play really well, so I decided that now I'm only commentating. That no more just chess for this guy. So it will be nice to see you on Wednesday. So don't miss it. Come, have fun.